Alrighty, so let's send everyone down. Remember, this is a win and in for the top four. Both of these players are at 3-1. So Johnholio has a pretty good hand. He's got two permafrosts, Eclipse Dragon, Torch, and a Champion of Fury. Gold47 also with a pretty good start, though. Got a Crooked Alley Guy shifted on turn one, followed by a Black Hall War Leader. Probably going to force Johnholio, I would think, to answer the War Leader, not play out the Champion.
I agree. Like, there's a fine window to get champion out there, but you also don't want War Leader to start triggering, buffing up all the guys so your burn is less effective, as well as just it being a beater in of itself.
Yeah.
So
you just can't let that hit you. I mean, the worst thing you can do, you play champion, gold kills it and attacks you and hits you with War Leader, and you're so far behind at that point.
All right, so Torch off the top for Johnholio. So they have a couple of plays here. They can Permafrost, they can Smuggler, they can Torch, and they can Champion. So let's see what they go with here. If they want to go ahead and start getting aggressive on the board. Are they
going to trade here? No, I was going to say that would be a bold trade to go ahead and trade your Champion, your key unit there. They're going to go ahead and use a Torch and attack into that Champion. I like that play. I don't think you want to make that trade with your Champion.
I agree, and now it forces them to decide on whether they want to leave the Alley Guide back or not. They're at their current power was depleted, so they're at 3. So they have to kind of do the same thing, whether they want to play a 3-drop or remove the Champion. They decide to remove the Champion. Granted, we can't see Gold47's hand, but I mean, there's so many 3-drops in the Stone Scar deck. You have to assume that they had one at least.
Now, does Johnholio have any power in the market? Let's see here. I don't think so. No, they do not. So they're going to be stuck on 3 here. That's a little tough. I mean, not that this deck needs a ton of power, but you want to get higher than 3, especially with such a reactive hand, except for an Eclipse Dragon. Got to get something moving here.
So what are you sending back to the market here?
I assume one of your permafrosts. Well, so it's either one of your permafrost because you have a redundant copy, or it's just the dragon because you can't cast it anytime soon.
Yeah, and it's exactly that. It is Dragon. They decide they'd rather keep their reactive hand. I like that play. Stone Scar doesn't have any way of really breaking Permafrost, and this version doesn't run Devour or any kind of sack outlet like Combust. So Permafrost, for all intents and purposes, does its unconditional removal, so why not?
Yeah. Ooh, Null Blade here. Interesting choice, but it's going to be very effective on this board. It's going to go ahead and cleanly take care of the 2/2, leaving a 5-power weapon behind. The Void text doesn't really matter in this matchup, but just having a 5-power unit to 2-for-1 your opponent's pretty good.
So let's go back for a second and decide when they had the choice of permafrosting the Smuggler or using Torch. Johnholio used Torch. How do you feel about that play now, seeing how it played out?
Yeah, I don't know if I wouldn't even thought of Null Blade there, so I can't blame Johnholio. I guess we do have deck lists, so could have seen it out of the market. Yeah, I don't know. I guess you permafrost. In hindsight, of course, it's 2020, but I guess you permafrost there because the Torch is more valuable and can hit the weapon if they draw it from the market. That seems like a better play there.
So I have to assume that they went with the Torch because you know they have champions. And champions get outclass Torch too easily, so I could see why they were keeping the permafrost. But having 2 in hand, there might have been a discussion for it.
That's true. That's a tough decision there. You're right, because if they do get that 5/5 champion, that's really hard for you to answer as well. You do have Ice Bolts, I guess. Not being able to play anything here is just brutal. Johnholio is gonna go to 1, and that's just gonna be game there.
There you go.
So
yeah.
Tough break for Johnholio. Did have a pretty good hand, but well played by Gold47 to punish a little bit of a stumble there.
Yeah, and that's one of the benefits. That's kind of the trade-off with aggressive decks is that your top end is kind of lacking a little bit. So some mid-range decks can go over the top of you should you not be able to close out the game too early. But the trade-off is that you steal a lot of games. As soon as your opponent stumbles, you're able to capitalize on that and not give them too many opportunities to come back from it.
Yeah, and we saw the counter burn deck play out really well in the previous feature matchup we had, but I can definitely see a weakness against a really aggro deck. That's why they're packing so much removal here, but if they're able to fall behind and have to emergency use all this removal and Gold47 keeps putting units down, it's going to be tough. It's always better to have more threats than more answers.
Okay, so they have a decision. They have some interactive spells. They have 2 power and a champion, but one of each. Yep, they decide to ship it. They go down to 6, sadly, having a 2 double Skycrag banner, which will come into play depleted, sadly. And then they have 2 Eclipse Dragons,
Yeah, that's a rough
an Ice
hand.
Bolt, and a Wisdom and Alder. So this is not the opportune hand for sure, but they're forced to keep it because they do. That was the desperate mulligan or desperate redraw.
Yeah.
But luckily, Gold47 does the same, going down to 6 themselves.
Now, Jed, I have a super important question here. What do you think of this hand that has a premium Skycrag banner next to a naked Skycrag banner? What do you think of that?
Man, I'll be honest with you. In real life, I probably would have had some issues with that. Digital, though, I think it's okay digitally because, like, I've debated about premium out my Eclipse Dragons. If you guys take a look, that premium Eclipse Dragon is just absolutely beautiful. So I have thought about that myself, but I think in digital world, I'm okay with it.
I think I could forgive having one of the rares not foiled out, but when you got the common power, 1 foil, 1 unfoil, it just rubs me the wrong way.
Fair. I'm actually working on a piece of content that is in the Pauper format, and several of the participants in it did decide to foil out their Pauper decks. So,
all right, now Gold47 with a pretty aggressive quick start here. You got 3 of the 1-cost shift units on the board right now, followed up by a smuggler.
if Gold47 has a Bandit Queen in hand, like, this is going to be a horrendous turn. If not this one, then the following turn. And actually, I think I would have held it back. If I had a Bandit Queen, I think I would wait a turn. Oh, the Null Blade, which is just as backbreaking.
Oh, and again, Johnholio stuck on 3 power. This is brutal.
Drawing another dragon, man. That's ugh.
Another dragon, and then a burn them all, another 5-drop. Just not what Johnholio needed to see in this game. Oh,
yeah, drawing another burn them all. So,
and then does Gold47 have the Bandit Queen for the Rubbins? They're not even going to need it, but pushing out 12 power plus basically a virtual 17 on board. Ice Bolt's going to take care of one of them, but still coming in for 14 this turn.
Yeah, this is gonna be pretty harsh. I think, and they don't even have a hailstorm.
No, there's actually nothing they can even do here. Look at that, 5 drops in hand. Really rough, especially on the Desperation Mulligan. There was just nothing Johnholio could do that game. That's why you play best 2 out of 3. That's why they're not 1-game matches. But pretty unfortunate for Johnholio to drop that one.